Hello, my name is Shane and I'm a parishioner of St Peter's Church in Thorner. Thorner is a small village to the northeast of Leeds and it's part of the Elmet Trinity Benefice, whose video channel this is. My reflection for today, Thursday the 2nd of April, is taken from John's Gospel. It's the 51st to the 59th verses of chapter 8. I am telling you the truth. Whoever obeys my teaching will never die. They said to him, Now we are certain that you have a devil. Abraham died and the prophets died, yet you say that whoever obeys your teaching will never die. Our father Abraham died, and you do not claim to be greater than Abraham, do you? And the prophets also died. Who do you think you are? Jesus answered, If I were to honour myself, that honour would be worth nothing. The one who honours me is my Father, the very one you say is your God. You have never known him, but I know him. If I were to say that I did not know him, I would be a liar like you. But I do know him, and I obey his word. Your father Abraham rejoiced when he was to see the time of my coming. He saw it and was glad. They said to him, You are not even 50 years old, and you have seen Abraham? I am telling you the truth, Jesus replied. Before Abraham was born, I am. Then they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and left the temple. Let's just close our eyes and sit in silence for a few moments and let those words just come into us. The whole country, the whole world in fact, feels gripped by coronavirus at the moment. Huge numbers of our community are struggling with fear and anxiety and uncertainty about what's going to become of them. They're scared of losing their jobs. They're scared of losing loved ones. They're scared of losing their own life. They're scared of what the world holds them once the pandemic has passed, because it's bound to be different to it always has been. But for me, there's hope in that passage. What it tells us is that nothing is final. Nothing that happens in our lives is final, because we have eternal life. And that gives me hope for the pandemic. It tells me that however hard, however difficult the pandemic might be, we will get past it. There will be life beyond it. Whatever that difference might be, we will have our lives, and we need to be planning for those lives. In fact, we need to be living our lives now, not allowing ourselves to be defined by the pandemic. We know that life will be different after coronavirus. Businesses we've been used to simply won't exist because they'll have failed. Some of us will have lost friends and family, sadly, to coronavirus. And nothing will be the same ever again. Something as big as this cannot but leave some sort of trace upon our lives. But at the same time, there is hope. There's hope here in Thorner. There's hope in the two villages that our sister churches serve. Because in all three of those places, the communities have come together and started to support those who are most vulnerable. Here in Thorner, we've got well over 100 volunteers who are all working hard to support the most vulnerable people in our community, most of them later in age and vulnerable because of their age to coronavirus, and yet younger members of the community are wrapping themselves around them to support them. But soon, sadly, younger members of our community will be affected as well. But again, the community is going to support them and look after them. This gives real hope for the future, because here we are in the middle of this pandemic and yet good things are happening. And there'll be a legacy, a positive legacy to what's happening here in Thorner and our sister parishes. Only this week, one of the volunteers wrote about how pleased she was to have met an elderly couple she's now supporting. Despite our village being very small, she never actually met them. And for her, the legacy will be, however long the pandemic lasts, on the other side of it, she's going to stay in touch with this couple, be part of their lives, and have them as part of her lives. So despite all the horrible news we're hearing, good things are happening, and they're happening in my life, and they can be happening in your life too. This passage tells us, Jesus tells us, that if we live our lives with dignity and with grace and with honesty, we will live on. And that's what I think it's telling us about coronavirus as well. We need to show grace, we need to show dignity, we need to show honesty, and we will carry on after coronavirus. I'm really conscious at this moment of that ad from Christian Aid, which reminds us that while as Christians we believe in life after death, we actually believe life before death is as important. So let's live our lives now. Let's not let the pandemic define our lives, that it will leave a mark, but that's us between ourselves, together and as communities, define our lives, define the world we want now, and define the world we want after the pandemic ends.